I quite liked that moment with the dragon, and I think there was something I wanted to bring to it, which is quite animalistic. Animals go on the smell of something. If you're coming up to a horse, you want it to sniff you before it trusts you, and hopefully that worked with the dragons. If you show quite a vicious animal fear, it will jump on that, but if you show it bravery, then it will respond in a different way.
She sees his interaction with her dragons, and it's an attractive quality for her. They're beautiful, aren't they?
Wasn't the word I was thinking of, but yes, they are.
Busted. Me and Jon Snow just chilling on a cliff by ourselves. No, don't read into it.
I think it was one of the most important scenes, certainly for Jorah this season.
You're great.
She told him to go find a cure, and of course he did. It's Sir Jorah. Like, what else is he gonna do? Go and mope? No. Gonna die? No. He's gonna go and fix himself.
Jon Snow, this is Sir Jorah Mormont, an old friend.
I served with your father. He was a great man.
I think it's a weird one for Jon meeting Jorah, this man he's heard about as being a slave trader, bad guy. And yet, here's Daenerys trusting him, here's him seeming to be quite noble.
You look strong. You found a cure?
I wouldn't be here if I hadn't.
She was the one who kind of motivated him and said, please, you need to find a cure because I need you with me. And that was a great gift from her. And it felt like it put the badness of our history and my initial betrayal to bed.
I return to your service, my queen. If you'll have me.
In your mind, I think, when you hear someone's got a terminal disease, or you think sort of, that's maybe a gift you give them in the moment. I'm sure he's had all these thoughts. How much did she really mean it?
It would be my honor.
It's not until she surprisingly embraced him that I think he feels he's finally come home.
It's one of the most tender moments that you'll see from Daenerys this season, because the thing about Ser Jorah is that he has been the one from the very beginning. And so I think he has an ability to see right through her.
I think at this point, Jon's willing to forgive anyone anything, pretty much. As long as they'll come on side with him, things can be ironed out afterwards.
Ever been north before?
Never seen snow before.
Down south the air smells like pig shit.
You've never been down south.
I've been to Winterfell.
That's the north. I think there's always surprises for characters in this. Jon Snow's heard of Jorah for his entire life, this notorious seller of slaves. And then, of course, the actual person turns up, and Jon can see he's a good man.
Jon is all about honor, right?
He has a sense of this incredible weapon he has.
It's been in your family for centuries. It's not right for me to have it.
I think Jon and Jorah make a connection which evolves during this journey, and there's a shared history which was a love of my father. I've forfeited the right to claim this sword. Everything that Jorah does is about seeking forgiveness.
It's yours.
There's a sense of closure for him in saying, no, he gave it to you and I don't deserve this.
The Hound for Tormund. He's a huge guy. He's mean. He's crazy. And Tormund loves mean, crazy guys.
Well, I mean, the Hound doesn't really talk much, and that's going to be a gruff conversation.
The Hound is a very difficult guy to become friends with. You're the one they call the dog.
Fuck off.
Not the talkative guy. The Tormund is. I want to make babies with the great big monsters that conquer the world.
How did a mad fucker like you live this long?
I think the running theme, it seems quite apparent with Gendry, is, lack of family. That's the thing that he's sort of searching for. He's kind of looking for surrogates.
I wanted to be one of you. I wanted to join the Brotherhood, but you sold me off.
The sense of betrayal, I feel, certainly hasn't left Gendry.
Do you know what she did to me? She strapped me down on a bed. She stripped me naked.
Sounds all right so far.
I think it was quite embarrassing to see him again. We weren't anticipating ever seeing him again. But, he went off with Melisandre. It wasn't all that bad.
Good lad.
So chuffed to be part of this ragtag bunch that gets to come out to flipping Iceland.
When that portcullis comes up and out we go, a Magnificent Seven or a Dirty Dozen or the Dirty Dozen -5, you know it's going to kick off.
It was a real back and forth about who would be on this mission, who wouldn't be on this mission. The Dirty Dozen obviously came to mind. Everybody has a good reason to hate everybody else.
I mean, it's definitely got that, gathering together these kind of misfits. A bunch of our favorite characters, many of whom have never been on screen together, but who all find themselves at the end of the world for one reason or another. And so getting Tormund back in the picture, the Hound and Jon and Beric and Jorah, it's a fun group.
The sequence had been so well conceived on a visual level by Alan and his team. To do that with hundreds of people and weather and visual effects and fire with lots of moving parts and still have that sense of artistry about it takes a different level of directing.
3, 2, 1, action!
Our story is 7 guys on a rock being attacked by whites and trying to tell a clear story of, your task is to defend a perimeter, and as you lose, your perimeter is going to fall back, and how do you kind of hold order against just pure chaos? It's, herding kittens. It's, you can't see anything except people whacking each other, and it takes some effort to talk to the cast to sort of say, no, the story is, here's a line, and we have to show that it's not being broken or that it is being broken. It was important to create a situation where I'm hoping the audience will think that one of our beloved characters is going to die.
I mean, we wrote it and we were watching it and I was like, holy shit, Tormund's going to die. But somehow he managed to override my rational brain and make me think that Tormund was going to die.
No matter how great your visual effects are or your art department and everything, there's just nothing quite like the real thing if you can find it. Iceland exists and it's real and it's cold as hell and it's beautiful, and there's just nothing like having that reality on screen.
It doesn't look like anywhere else. Half the time it doesn't even look real, and I worry that people are going to think the blues of those glaciers are some kind of cheap special effect. The more spectacular looking it is, the more difficult it is to shoot there.
I think there's a sort of kick-bollock scrambleness to filming out here where you have such limited daylight and you have conditions which are like this or worse. It just gives it a sense of reality,
In the world of Thrones, it's great coming to these landscapes that just really kind of arc back in time and take you to something very, very brutal and barren.
There's an extent to which nothing ever surprises you on this job anymore, but this, you still can't help but be impressed by this. I mean, it's nuts.
You can't get to this location without literally monster jeeps. It's a hell of a way to go to work.
The Icelandic technical crew for setting up the base camp have to have everything ready, and they have to do that obviously under cover of darkness. So the crew, when they arrive, everything is ready to go.
When we're shooting on the glacier, everyone's got the crampons strapped onto their boots because otherwise you'll slip, and even with the crampons, we had a bunch of guys falling and banging themselves up, but luckily no major injuries this year.
What we had to go through to get the zombie polar bear was writing the zombie polar bear into every season of the show for about 4 seasons.
We thought they'd be so excited to do a zombie bear, and it's kind of like, oh my god, they're serious about doing this fucking zombie bear.
Only to have Bernie and the visual effects guys tell us in the nicest possible way, fuck you, we cannot afford a zombie polar bear. This year made perfect sense that you could have one of these things out there, and we really put our 4 feet down and we said, God damn it, we want a zombie polar bear.
We looked at some of the beats, the way the polar bear in the previews that we got, how it spots the guy's way, how it picks someone up and shakes him around. And then we get our wires in and start rehearsing with guys using different methods to pull someone around and get the right body shapes and the right energy.
Everything's made sure it's super safe first. We test everything over and over again, usually with a weight bag, and when we're happy that it's safe to have someone on, we get someone on.
We were holding the flaming sword in the jaws of this thing, so the big guy was able to move the head around, which was something for our actor on the floor to work against.
I've never really worked with this ping pong ball thing and pretend that's a bear, and I've had people going, oh, when I'll come towards you, I'm a bear. No, you're not. Your name's Toby.
Most of the heavy lifting of the sequence, that was all in Wolf Hill Quarry in Belfast.
It's one of those things where, you know, when you film something in another location and then you're responsible for finishing that location off somewhere else, you have to really do your homework and try and make sure that you match it as best you can so that then Alan would have an entrance for the characters. When you stand up on the top and look down, it was like we were building, I don't know, an airport or something. The scale of it is enormous.
We build nature. No, sometimes I walk out there and I think we're crazy people.
We had a really tricky time trying to work out what a frozen lake looks like and how we can achieve that. And that went from a compacted quarry floor to putting concrete down to a nice flat finish, and then there had to be hues of colour that had to be added to that. Then we had to work out how the ice would look, trying to make that look three-dimensional and as if it was transparent ice. All these things were really, really tricky.
Stop!
We paint the cliffs a little bit, and then we snow the cliffs a lot.
3,500 bags of snow through 6 machines with 15 guys. We're constantly redressing it and adding to it, and every day we have to scrape it off and start again the next day. And yeah, it's full on.
It's a really cool set. Like it's an amazing set. They cemented a whole quarry to flatten it out to make it look like an ice lake.
The amount of workmanship is incredible, and it really, we've had to run across that ice. It just looks so real. It's fantastic.
I thought it was a real lake. Then I understood that they have made this for this sequence. Yeah, it blew my mind.
This amount of people, and when the camera rolls, everything just sort of comes together at precisely the right time.
Original intention was to dig out the areas on location where people would need to fall through the ice, and then it became clear to everyone that probably the temperatures were going to be so terribly cold. We figured out if we use motion control, then we could achieve it on stage.
Where the whites fall for the ice, we're doing those as separate set pieces, and then building rigs to drop underneath the ice to take the weight of the actors and then allow them to drop through.
You know, even though we've got 10 guys falling in while the camera's moving, by the time we're finished, we've got 100 guys falling in and the camera's moving 5 times as far.
Everyone's always like, oh, you get to shoot in a tank, great. No. It's the end of the season and I get plunged into cold water with a full costume on. It's going to be miserable.
When you're in the middle of a fight, you need to have all your adrenaline on a maximum. So I had to be pumped up and ready in 5 to 10 seconds and then calm the fuck down very fast.
You've got to loosen up. You've got to be ready for a fight. With a big Norwegian and we're both looking at you. Ah! 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 Even the extras are so into it. They're
One of our heroes gets chased to the top of the island. The higher edge is about 11 foot from the frozen lake.
Big trust thing because I'm falling into the guys. The guys are catching me off the end of the rock, opposed to where you'd normally do falls into boxes or an airbag.
Well, it's funny how times have changed. In season 2, the dragon was riding on Dany's shoulder, and now Dany's riding on the dragon's shoulder. And when Dany gets on and off the dragon, it's sort of like wheeling up the stairs to a 747. We've modeled the dragon and then laser cut this full-scale giant piece of polystyrene to create a section of the dragon's back that is living on the island at the frozen lake.
I've got a bit of climbing to do on that contraption with a person on my shoulder. I just hope I can do it. Well, I've never flown a dragon before. I'm sure we'll be fine, just hang on.
This year, things are a little bit beefier. We have a bigger motion base, we have a bigger buck. It's a lot harder, especially for Amelia. It's one thing to act in a room with somebody and to draw on your considerable resources as an actor. It's another thing to have a situation that's supposed to incorporate the same level of emotion, but in the most artificial environment you can possibly imagine. It's the opposite of walking in costume through Iceland.
You know, the harder the challenge, the more I relish it. But this really, you're like, can I just even maybe have like, you know, like a screen with like clouds or something? Like, I've never flown on a dragon. And to just harness that power, can you even imagine?
The fire column slicing the ice, we wanted to make sure that it looked like a cutting torch, and it's exploding the ice, atomizing the ice immediately. So we worked with Sam's team again, and when you see it, it really is awesome.
We knew that the Night King would see and seize this opportunity, and like to think that when the dragon dies, that it's kind of a nice 1-2 punch, because on the one hand, you're just seeing the horror of one of these the three only unique, amazing beings like this in the world, going under the water and not coming up again, and you're processing that. And then you're processing something that's even worse, which is when it comes back out from under the water again. The eyes of the White Walkers and the Whites have been such a prominent feature of the show, and a lot of work has gone into the specifics of how the eyes look, and to see that hopefully iconic image at this point blown up to the size of a beach ball, that seemed like it was an inherently crowd-pleasingly oh shit moment for everybody.